I'm with Dave Miller, head coach of the Fairmont Firebirds. And Coach, we approach week 5, getting halfway through the season already.
Yep, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, time flies.
Yep.
What did you see on the fumble return for a touchdown by Northmont to start the second quarter that put you in a 3-touchdown hole?
Well, we just, it was one of those unfortunate things, and bad timing. We'd gone down 14-0, and they did a good job popping the ball out, and we weren't as secure as we needed to be. And number 9 did a good job picking it up and running it back for a touchdown. But that was deflating, to say the least. But what do you do? Those things happen. It's part of the game. So it was tough, for sure. So.
Overall, the scheme used by Northmont, how did they do containing Drew Baker?
Well, they're good on defense this year. We saw it coming in. They held their opponents to negative 62 yards rushing. So very well coached. I mean, their kids played really hard against us. So we knew we were going to have trouble moving the ball against them. I think everybody else is too, that especially tries to run. But, we didn't help ourselves. We attempted a pass, got sacked, had some perimeter trouble, blocking the perimeter. And it kind of snowballed a little bit on us. I think, for a quarter and a half, we really did not play our brand of football. So made it tough. It was but I thought Drew ran hard. Our line did fairly well. It's just we were going against a really good defense. So they kind of exploited us, I think. We used all weekend the term. We kind of got exposed a little bit, and that's good. You learn from that. Adversity is a great teacher, so we'll learn from our mistakes and move on. So.
On the other hand, how would you evaluate your team's defense, holding Northmont to only 256 total yards?
Well, like I said, I think the quarter and a half we had was about as bad as we played, and they're part of that. I mean, they obviously had a good game plan against us and kind of took advantage of some of the things that we do. But defense in the second half played very well. So did our offense, though. I mean, we moved the ball. We had the ball for 31 plays. They had it for 14, and that's kind of how we're supposed to do it. We didn't convert. We got down inside the red zone, but we complement each other. We have to control the football to help them, and they have to make them earn it to help us. So it's kind of one of those, cooperative type things, I guess. But so we'll learn from it, and we'll move on, and I'm looking forward to this week.
In past years, when trailing, Hillen would occasionally try a passing play. What was the reason behind not passing in the second half?
We tried 8 passes. We got sacked on a few of those, had some incompletions. We attempted more passes that last Friday night than we have all year. So it wasn't for not passing the ball. I can tell you that right now. It's like, we are who we are. That's our identity, and we got out of our element a little bit, I think, especially early. We attempted 2 passes early. They were both open. We couldn't get them to them. So we got to get better on our pass blocking. That's something we're definitely focused on this week. But so that's why.
All right, let's move on to Springboro. Friday night, Evan Russo is or probably every Friday night for all that matter, is a dual threat, rushing and passing. What do you do to contain him?
He's really good. Watching film, it's pretty impressive what he's doing right now. But their line's very good. They're very well coached by Ron Ullery. So it's going to be tough. I mean, it's just like we talked about last week, trying to slow them down, I think, is the thing. We're not going to stop, and they have a good running back with him, number 18. He's really good. A couple other guys too, but. So they're going to be tough to contend with. The game plan's the same. We have to try to control the clock. When we've been able to do that with teams that have good offenses, that usually bodes better for us. But that's what we're going to have to do. So.
What sort of defensive fronts have you seen on film that will try to stop Drew Baker?
Well, they're primarily a 50, and that's their base, So we've seen that before, but they're good up on defense too, So they've had some impressive games. I mean, their 1-point loss to Elder was extremely impressive. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's a tough game, but that's the beauty of the GWalk is any team can beat any other team, and they're all good. So it's a great schedule. I can't think of a better conference to play in. So our guys are excited about the challenge. But.
All right, and finally, psychologically, how do you flesh out last week's game and concentrate on the Panthers?
Well, I think we've already moved on. We talked a lot yesterday about just mentally tough people take adversity and bad situations, and they turn them into positives, and you learn from them, and try to with setbacks. I mean, if you do your job and you just learn from those things, it's gonna usually that equals good things for you in the end. So that's the best teacher. So I think our guys have done a good job. They're resilient. They've moved on. I think yesterday we had a good practice. So I think they're ready to go. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me, and good luck on Friday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm with Ryan Wilhite, and of course he's the head coach of the Springboro Panthers football team. You got a 3-1 record and 3 very close non-conference games. How did that prepare you for your play in the GWalk?
Well, I mean, obviously Lebanon was a former member of the GWalk, so that caliber of a team, and Elder, a GCL South school, the first time we've played that. I know Fairmont has played LaSalle early on their schedule this year as well. So I think those are teams that fit well in the GWalk. Withrow certainly has the speed that we'll see in the GWalk. So I think it was good for us to have those experiences in the non-conference before we get into the GWalk play.
On the offense, we have to start with quarterback Evan Russo, 67% completion rate, thrown for 10 touchdowns, and leading rusher with 472 yards. Can you talk about his dual threat ability?
Yeah, I think he makes us a dangerous offense in the fact that I think that he's always a threat to run the football, not just when things break down, but also in our run game. So he kind of serves as another running back there, which of course he was a running back last year for us. And then his passing ability, he's been very efficient this year. I would say we probably throw the ball less than we have. And you can tell that by the amount of rushing attempts we're getting out of our quarterback, which is certainly familiar territory for Fairmont. But I think that when you have a dual threat guy, that's certainly a different dimension to our offense than what we normally would have.
Lamb, is he the top target with 19 grabs for 259 yards? And what are his strengths in the wideout slot?
Yeah, I think Cade Lamb is a player that he's got great speed, top end, but his quickness. He's really good as a route runner. He is the type of player that when you can get him out on the perimeter in a one-on-one space, I think he's really dangerous.
On defense, you have Smith, Weimer, and Piddle. Mm-hmm. They're the top 3 tacklers. Give our listeners a brief synopsis of those young men.
Yeah, well, they're all linebackers, so probably the linebacking core is the strength of our defense. Connor Smith is a junior, was third, I believe, in the GWalk in tackles last year as a sophomore. So has a lot of experience, very, very physical, reads his keys extremely well. Mason Piddle is a first-year starter, but a junior as well. He's the other inside linebacker, and I think that those two, when you have a really strong inside backer, if you find that right guy to fit in with him, which Mason has become to Connor, I think those two work in tandem really well. And they're able to play strong and play fast because they know that they've got their backside gap covered. And then Aiden Weimer is a sophomore, and he was a state qualifying wrestler as a freshman last year. He plays our outside backer, very, very good at getting pressure on the quarterback, also keeping the running back in the pocket. So, different game for him this week playing against Fairmont and what we've been asking him to do, but he's pretty exceptional for a sophomore.
Last year, Drew Baker's longest run against you was 8 yards. How does this year's defense compare to last year's in terms of defending against him?
Yeah, well, it seems like Baker has been there for like 10 years. I mean, he's just been going and going and going. He keeps coming back. So, watching them on film, I think they have some similarities. They're doing some different things formationally and with what they want to do in the run game, but similar. So, we know it's going to be that our guys have been in this game with Baker, and they know that it's going to be a play where you have to be assignment sound. You have to be sure tacklers. You have to get never assume that he's down, because he's always he plays until the echo of the whistle, and so you can't just assume someone else is going to make the play. You got to swarm to him, and he's a challenge. There's no question, it's a challenge. He's a really, really good player.
Okay, and final question. Fairmont got shut out last week at Northmont. Reviewing that film, what does this show in terms of their weaknesses that you can take advantage of in this game?
Well, I will say this. I thought that they had some inefficiencies in the red zone. I think they had some turnovers that led to that, but they moved the ball pretty well. And if you look at the second half, it was 28-0 at half. In the second half, Fairmont possessed the ball the majority of the second half. They just didn't get points out of it. But I think they would say we moved the ball pretty well on them. So I don't know, when we say take advantage, I think Fairmont, the way they play the game, it puts you in a spot where you have to be efficient offensively, because you're only going to get the ball so many times. And while they didn't produce points, they ate up a lot of time. And if you look at last year, it wound up being a lower scoring game, very close at the end. And, that we held them to 13, but at the same time, we only got 14 because you just did not get those points because you didn't get a lot of opportunities. So I think playing Fairmont, defensively, you got to be sound, got to limit their big plays. You got to try to keep that. But offensively, you got to be efficient. And so and special teams wise, you got to make sure that, they'll take chances in special teams, and you can't let that be the difference maker. So it's a full game plan to beat Fairmont. They challenge you in a lot of different ways.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, and good luck on Friday.
All right, thanks so much.